Alright, begin.
Commencing Atlas system suit initialization.
Alright, let's see. What sort of world are we going to get?
Activated.
Extreme heat. Nice.
Shield kinetic system online.
Going to get started with a survival playthrough. Goal for this one is going to be a settlement.
Aerial propulsion.
See how that goes.
Online. Multi-tool and mining laser attachment operational. User initialization sequence complete.
Nope. So some of these rocks would be harvestable.
Thermal protection falling.
Let's get our scanner repaired. Prices are higher in survival.
Component repaired.
Done with that. So,
Technology
analysis visor so we can start earning some cash. And we shall see. How much carbon do we need for nanotube?
thermal protection falling.
Ooh, I need to find me a cave. One thing I do wish I'd add is the ability to just jump without having to use the jetpack fuel, because it would make some of these tinier little mounds you can get stuck on easier to deal with.
Starship signal detected.
Bucket that
Thermal
starship.
protection falling.
That is not a lot of sodium. However, I'm probably going to have to go to the starship just to recover my heat.
Thermal protection falling.
And the sprint is extra short. Nice. Survival is significantly rougher than normal, at least in the early stages. I'm sure once you get actually settled in, it's not so bad.
Extreme heat damage detected.
Still carbon. Keep trying to sprint with L1 because I've been playing a ridiculous amount of Skyrim lately. I'm gonna start a playthrough on that one here soon. I'm gonna try Legend difficulty for the first time. See how far I can get. But we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try this whole video creator thing out in the spare time when I've got slow things going on at work. We shall see how things go. Get to the ship so that I can repair.
Ground protection falling.
Might get some sodium out of these yellow boxes. Nope. Die. We'll keep some of that for now. Just so we can get... Alright, I'm just going to try to make it to the ship before I die. Rather than use any more of my sodium.
Extreme heat damage
Oh,
detected.
okay, never mind, that's not going to work. Use the sodium. That would have killed me before I made it to the ship, unfortunately. Good old Radiant Heller. Actually not a terrible ship, especially for a starting fighter. But early on I like to try to find a cargo ship so I can haul some more stuff. I usually have more cargo slots available earlier on. But once it's time to get to the actual exploring and trying to accomplish missions and things, I will seek out a high-level fighter just for the survivability in space combat. Ignore the log, it is pointless. Alright, time for repair. Oh, the Polaris engine is damaged. The launch thrusters are damaged. Here, throw the rusted metal into there for later. Same with the dihydrogen. I can finally get my analysis visor. I say that, but then I'm too dumb to remember to actually craft the nanotube. There we go, we have the analysis visor. And just to get this going for later, get that set up so we can get rid of the sentinels and the obnoxious nonsense. We shall see how that goes. Iteration. Vessel 16 emptied. This is fresh operation. I don't want to broadcast, but we have to get to the next little log.
Ground protection falling.
I want to pick up this damaged machinery bits. You can take these, they're not really great. They take way too long to convert into nanites. But early on, you can sell everything and maintain a decent profit margin. So that is what I will do for now. So there's the ship. We'll be converting all of our rusted iron into ferrite dust. Is this one going to work today? Sadly, no. Sometimes you can loot these guys without ever actually having to go into the ground. But that one is just deep enough. We need the terrain manipulator to get going. Alright. Now we begin scanning.
Units received.
Always try to find all of the animals. I know it's a colossal pain sometimes, especially with the underground and rare underground models. Those ones are just hit or miss. I've had planets where no matter what method you use, they never spawn. But I've also had planets where they spawn constantly. That hydrogen is important for crafting. Health gel. You can also use it in one of your ship compartments. No, gotta go back to the ship. Survival mode makes maintaining your suit significantly more difficult.
Heat damage detected.
Between that and your inability to sprint, it's going to make this tedious. Craft another plate. Throw that on.
Repaired.
Extremely damaged. Get the planetary beacon. What, the trunk?
Navigational data received.
Send the starship people to the starship.
Thermal protection falling.
Good top off the thermal protection before we begin the walk. When we get about halfway there, a giant storm's going to kick in, which will be an issue, as we only have 4 sodium. I'd like to be able to craft some of those, but I need to find a cave to get some cobalt. Well, this is boring as shit. It takes extra long for the shields to regenerate in this mode. So, bear with me, we'll get through this tedium somehow. This game, you can have a lot more fun on the custom settings, but I prefer the challenge of the actual survival modes.
Received. Thermal protection falling.
Not a whole lot of plants to be found on this barren little wasteland we have.
Units received.
Oh, that plant's gonna be in the way of the scan. That looks like an underground type of guy. Every now and again you'll get lucky like that and they'll just be roaming around the surface of the world. More rusted metal.
Weather warning. Incoming storm.
Ah, crap. Don't think, yeah, there's not going to be any caves, so we're not going to be able to survive that. Unfortunately, they reduced the price that a lot of these trade goods sell for now, so you can't even really get a decent level of those. Can't make decent money off of chlorine anymore either. Not have long before the 3rd tier of the ship comes. Do not want tier 3 storm. That will ruin your day. Over here.
Thermal protection falling.
Carbon, and some condensed carbon into there. We'll go ahead and These storms make a decent time to do that, just so you can get the process started. Send those over there. Keep this inventory as clear as possible for now. Hopefully this is a fairly short storm and it doesn't last for the next 15 minutes. I've been on a couple of extreme worlds where the storms last just absolute ages. I'm gonna go try to gather a bunch of sodium on my way over there. Oh yeah, I'm blind. Oh, I completely missed the fact there was a cave here this whole time. Sometimes I am very blind, very dumb. Oh, sweet. We can get some copper without having to have the train manipulator. It won't be much, it'll only be probably one or two. Still, that is a help. Carbon. We'll need that so that we can power our little generator. Harvest these marrow bulbs, you can convert them directly into sodium. Oh, this is a problem. Okay, I need to find things with carbon. Alright, you gotta focus carbon. Probably about 120 or 180 carbon in total to completely recharge the mining laser. There's usually 2 or 3 different types of marrow bulb in each cave. It is worth scanning all of them. I don't know if the plants give bonus nanites for finding all of them. That's something I've not actually managed to accomplish on the planet because there's usually 1 or 2 that I always end up missing. Find some more of these little stalactites so that I can get the copper. The stalactites are important because of the cobalt, but being able to get both cobalt and copper in a single go makes the stalagmite a lot better. Of course, I'm probably mixing those 2 up. I can never remember which one. Which with those? Okay, so it's 120 for a full charge. That means it'll be the same thing for... It'll take 120 to fully charge our harvest or converter. I like to try to keep the mining drill close to being maxed out on heat whenever possible, as that drastically reduces the amount of time it takes to mine. Just gotta try to time it. So that you don't do that. But even if you do, it doesn't cost any extra energy or anything, so all it does is take a few seconds for the mining beam to reset. The early stages of this game are not very exciting. Try to get some videos made up from this. See how it goes. I'll probably post this first video just completely, maybe not entirely unedited, but this stupid plant is interfering with my ability to mine. Unidentified mineral. That'll be a couple of The goal for this video is going to be to get our ship off the planet. Not a whole lot to it, but it can take a decent amount of time, unfortunately. So, I gotta see if I can try to remember how to get out of this cave. There it is. Ooh. Yes, these guys are fantastic. They are a little bit tedious early on, because if you're not paying attention, you don't catch them, and they hit you, they can absolutely destroy your shield, because they produce an extreme level of toxins.
Thermal protection falling.
I believe if you have the hazmat gloves, you can actually harvest them, but you have to do it before they start releasing their little poisonous fog. This dihydrogen. Best to farm as much materials as you can during this early stage, because you won't see any sentinels, thankfully. Once you start seeing sentinels, they like to make it an absolute pain to try and harvest anything. I am definitely not a fan of the sentinels, and one of the things I like to do is I like to try to hunt them until... Oop, I need to recharge that now, otherwise it would cost me 2 life support gels. Once your life support gets down below about, I think it's 15, it's either 15 or 12%, it will do a quick scan to see if there's any new animals I'm missing. There's a rock.
Units received.
But you need to, if you can survive the 5 waves, which is, even without any gear, isn't too terrible as long as you're near a building. But if you're near any sort of building or doorway, it's really easy to just cheese them, and it prevents them from doing too much to you. But it's still a risk, especially if you're on a planet that has the tier 3 being little dog units.
Units received.
Free jetpack. Still slower than just running. It just doesn't have very good directional control. Otherwise it would be a lot better. But
Ground protection falling.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it there without running out of... It's 140 units. I might be able to make that. As long as I can maintain a decent sprint level. And our sprint is gone. But yeah, we'll be fine. We will not be stuck today. I noticed on survival, those little technology modules tend to actually properly be buried. So nav data. Oh, I'm not going to get the nanites from this one because of the stupid quest. Normally you can harvest these to get a decent chunk of nanites. I think on survival it's between 25 and 50. On normal, I believe you can usually get a few more. I think upwards of 100 to 115 on the normal and more casual modes. I don't need to restore my shield. That will not restore your thermal shield. It will only restore your combat shields. That is what it is. Grab some wheat. It said it doesn't sell for much, but if you get enough of it, you can make up for the difference. I was underground. Those little humming sacks actually are one of the more profitable materials still left. And they won't trigger enraged sentinels like some of the other harvestable things will. Still can't get any of those to harvest, unfortunately. Oh, I need to get the sodium. I need to get the sodium and find a... Actually, hold on here. I might not need to. I was gathering all that cobalt specifically so that I can craft these. Okay. Try not to be dumb like myself and craft multiples at once instead of trying to do that manually. Now I can go through, do a little bit of restocking on my ferrite dust. You need so much ferrite dust. In survival, when you're recharging your hazard suit, wait for it to get down to about 15% so that you can fully reinvest using only a single ion battery. If you let it get below, I think it's 12%, it takes 2 batteries instead of 1.
Ground protection falling.
Let's check something. Let's check our, no, not our settings. Our discoveries. 5 out of 6. We are missing This guy, Rare Underground, is the absolute bane of completing the planetary creatures. There's a couple of tricks you can use. See, okay, so it's 15%, it becomes 2. So, you want to do it before it hits 15, but preferably after it hits 20. So, just try to maximize your reward for inputting those. Okay, these guys, little hazard explorers, there's 3 different types of those guys. One of them is like a little, what's the best way to say it? Harvestable, it's like an exploding gas plant. It produces a toxin and it explodes, dealing health damage. Oh, we're going to start with the Vy'keen today. Not a big fan of these goofy looking bastards. They're cool, but they look so ridiculous. The concept behind them being like basically space Vikings is a really cool idea. I just cannot stand the way they've looked. I've tried to make multiple Vy'keen characters in the appearance creator, they just never come out decent. Carbon mountain. Never have 2 things you can never have enough of is carbon and ferrite dust. So we'll do now. Keep corrupting those. Come here. Finish repairing our pulse engine. Oh, we need some pure ferrite dust and some dihydrogen jelly. Well, we can go ahead and craft the dihydrogen jelly. It takes 40 dihydrogen, which is here. Apparently, I have a bunch in my exosuit. Transfer that over, transfer that over. Try to put the things that I don't physically need to look at down here. And anything I need to interact with fairly regularly, like my ion batteries, or once I start crafting the life support gels, I like to keep up top so I can just click and drag and then drop them where they need to go. Our bombs. My ship inventory, I do not keep nearly so organized. I usually just throw my navigation data there and my buried technology modules down there. But what we're going to do now, those, drop that onto there, and that's half repaired. So what we'll do is run out to that starship, and we'll take those, turn those into pure ferrite. You want to keep a good chunk of this on hand as well, as it's one of the core components in repairing damaged ship slots when you're finding distress beacon ships. that so that I can go ahead and finish repairing these.
Technology prepared.
Eventually we will get the... there's a little attachment for
Technology installed.
the exosuit called a personal refiner. We'll get that, and then we don't have to lug this little refiner around, and all we do is we'll just go into there.
Protection
Has the same inventory layout as this. You've got your fuel, what you're putting in, and what you're getting out. And you can just throw that into your personal refiner and go about doing what you're doing without having to sit around and wait for these to finish their individualized tasks. Starship with you. And then you just dismantle it, and it goes into your inventory. Oh, high launch costs. Need to leave the planet. Alright, so you just kind of gotta move around a little bit so that this little thing will work. Test the boost and the pulse drive again so that we can move on. Unfortunately, they did make it so you have to do these little beginning quests to be able to access all the things unless you are in a custom game. So go ahead and let them know who we are, follow the trail, and input the coordinates. Sadly, I was not able to find the last little creature on that planet. Do a little planet scan. This is going to be an irradiated planet. You can always tell the irradiated planet based on them having gamma root and uranium. Although sometimes they won't have the gamma root, but from what I've seen, about 98% of the time, any irradiated planet has gamma root. But you can't harvest those without getting the hazmat gauntlets, which is another exosuit material. I don't really focus on those a whole lot, since the gamma roots and everything do not sell for hardly anything anymore. This is an approximate location, but as we were coming in, I saw this little base over here. This base is almost guaranteed to be what we are, or our mission location. You can hop out. We found this. Oh no, it is not this time. That's surprising. Normally the first building right there by your base will be what you need, but that's fine. We'll come in here, we'll harvest these. These little yellow boxes are some of my favorites. They almost always have either life support gel or ion batteries. Leave that on the screen for a little bit in case anybody wants to read it. I haven't quite figured out what these are talking about, but I have a feeling there's a way to interact with this little goop life form that's taken over here, but I'm not certain on that. In the meantime, always find these broken buildings and harvest them so that you can get the nanites. Nanites are vitally important in this game, as they're used for a lot of higher end purchases. You need them for upgrading both your ship class and your multi-tool class. These are both C. With enough nanites, you can actually rank both of those up. But for now, put that goop into my starship. Ah, yes, they exist now. These, sorry guys, I hate these guys. They ruin my day on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I don't have the chromatic metal necessary currently, so I cannot get the bolt caster crafted. Once I get a bolt caster crafted, I will absolutely go after those guys, because if you, like I said, if you survive the 5th wave, you will get a chart that leads to a sentinel pillar, which can be used to deactivate the sentinels on any planet. All the 16 decodings, no fuel, and the failed to reach the station, hazard protection low, no choice but to. I'm assuming that means go underground and deploy a base computer. And we now have a terrain manipulator and base computer part. Nanotubes and dihydrogen jelly. Then dihydrogen jelly, and I want to say it was 2 of those for the terrain manipulator. This is what will allow you to harvest the rare earth elements such as copper, sodium, and uranium. He's on the other side of the hill, sadly. That's fine. I have noticed that for some reason radiation tends to actually decrease at a slightly slower rate than other hazards. I don't know if that's actually a thing, but it always seems like I can survive for longer on an irradiated planet than I can on a, like, say, a thermal based planet, like a superheated or super chilled planet. Those always seem to just absolutely destroy my hazard protection. Realistically, I'm 98% certain that it is just they decay at the same rate. It just seems slower for no particular reason. Also, don't forget to always scan these guys. I can't harvest anything right now because this guy's eyeballing me. If I go to harvesting something, he'll enter an investigation stage, and if you continue to harvest anything after they enter that investigative stage, they will absolutely ruin your day. But here very soon, those guys will no longer be an issue. Try to harvest all of this. Hopefully he doesn't come over and start heckling me. I'm not a fan. Ah, there's a little crystal just popped up. You'll get those every now and again when you are harvesting things like the dihydrogen and the condensed carbon. You can find them very, very rarely when you're harvesting just regular ferrite dust materials. But all they do is you can sell them, but usually I prefer to analyze them because it'll break them down and give you a little bit of a bonus. to those categories. And some sweet root. Radiated worlds always have really interesting plant life. And sometimes there's 2 or 3 different variants of each of the hazardous floras found on different planets. Which actually reminds me, I was in the middle of explaining the 3 variants of those earlier and got sidetracked, which is not an uncommon thing for me. It's pretty easy to distract me, unfortunately. So it's also one issue I have with gaming is I tend to oh no, I do not want to deal with a predatory creature. Those guys are not what I need to deal with right now. Go away, you newbie, you angry bastard. I don't have a gun, so I have to mining laser them down. Oh no, they're angry. Quick. I'll dig myself a tunnel. There we go. Sweet, we were able to dig a tunnel and also end up underground. So we'll go ahead and do some scanning. No secondary element for those ones or those ones. Oh. Those aren't any fun. Go ahead and come up here. See, and now that they've been triggered here, they'll hang out in this little area for a good while, waiting to see if you go harvesting anything else. They're not incredibly difficult to deal with. They just take time. Which, if I can stay focused and head to this copper deposit, like I was working on this whole time, I'd be able to get the bolt caster up and running.
Radiation protection falling.
But like I said, I get easily distracted and often wander around aimlessly. I am playing on the PS5. I plan on getting a PC at some point, but currently that's just not in the cards. Those are... Well, you can build a decent computer for very little.
Radiation protection.
Unfortunately, you can't completely... You can't build a good computer for cheap.
Radiation protection.
A good high-end computer is still going to cost you around anywhere from about $1,500 to $3,000. That is a goal, but not a priority currently. For now, I'm working on trying to get it to where it'll let me stream this nonsense. Although, to be fair, when it comes to actually streaming, I'm probably going to try to find a different game, unless I'm just trying to do a hangout and chill style stream. I think games like this, Stardew Valley, things like that, are good kind of community streams. You'd be able to group up, hang out, and while there are things you need to focus on, you can also just generally ignore most of what's going on and be a lot more responsive to the chat. Whereas if I'm playing a game like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Call of Duty, something like that, I would need to be able to focus more intensely, which would make talking to chat and handling things of that nature significantly more difficult once I do start streaming. As you see, the terrain manipulator makes life really nice. You can bypass all those pesky creatures and avoid the issue of hazard protection. And the best part about this is you can recharge it with the silicate powder, which every now and again it doesn't like to actually fully charge. It still steals your materials, which is rather rude. But it is what it is. But the only thing that I know silicate to be used for is the manufacturing of glass. Although very, very rarely you will run into... Oh, I somehow created a window. Be gone! You very rarely be able to find something that actually requires silicate. There's a couple of NPCs that might ask you for it, but for the most part, it's not the most useful. Now these, however, these feline livers are great money earners. So, think about it. Now we have the boring process of building a portable refiner again. What we have to do now is throw in a bunch of fuel and throw in a bunch of copper and wait for 2 minutes while the copper converts. So if that I just realized this world probably has a decent number of animals. Yeah, 12 we have left. 2 more flying, 1 more ground, and oh, we actually have underground. That's pretty rare, honestly. A lot of the times when you have a high water planet like this one, you'll have a bunch of underwater materials or animals to gather rather than underground. Oh, that is unfortunate. Toxic and irradiated worlds are the only ones where going into the water will actually decrease your protections at a higher rate than being on the surface. If you're on a super cold world, it can also do it. But if you can get a heated world, you can actually go into the water without having any sort of repercussions from it. We have many more of those. Still got plenty of batteries. Go ahead, and I always forget to activate these things. It is a bit annoying. And it looks like I've only got about 5 minutes left before this video ends. You can only record an hour at a time. Mind you, I'm learning how all of this video recording on the console works, and will continue to make and upload these videos fairly regularly. I haven't even began to touch the editing thing. I tried it once 5 years ago just because my buddy had a little fun incident on Souls where we were trying to figure out how he died, and I used the record feature to slow it down frame by frame. Turns out he had an NPC throw a knife at him, and that was that. But I personally prefer the longer, unedited videos myself because it allows me to. I tend to watch a lot of them in the background while I'm doing other things, playing games, or working on my computer, things of that nature. So I like to create these long form videos, and especially in a game like this when there's not a lot constantly going on, you don't have to sit there and stare at it forever. You can fast forward it, rewind it, pause it, stop it. Eventually, once I can get to streaming, I'll be able to post the live streams, which will allow a lot more going on in the background with me communicating with chat and things of that nature. But for now, until YouTube verifies my account, I cannot broadcast live on my console. I'm hoping they do that in the next couple days so that I can begin that process as soon as possible. I'll probably work on creating little shorts and things of that nature as well from the different games I play, just to showcase, like, if I see something particularly unusual or if I find something cool, I'll create a little short showcasing what I found or what happened. If something funny occurs, like a good old-fashioned body launch. But like I said, I'm going to be playing a variety of different games. I'll be playing this. I enjoy playing Stardew Valley. I'll do probably a bit of Skyrim. I know it's an old and outdated game, but I still like to mess around with it from time to time. I might actually do a mage playthrough, as I have never, in all of my history of playing Skyrim, played as a mage. It's always been either the classic stealth archer or just hit people in the face with big pointy objects. But I also play more fast-paced games like Call of Duty, the Souls series, all of those. So now when I'm playing COD and things, if I am playing with a group, I'll probably be muted during my videos, as I don't want to record other people talking, and I tend to be hyper focused and fairly angry playing those games. So I tend to get rather rage-based playing competitive games. I am a extremely hyper-competitive individual, so when it comes to streaming and things, just for the sake of attempting to be able to turn this into something I can do as a side project, I'm probably going to avoid super competitive games because the rage is not conducive to staying monetized. However, I'll still probably be posting those and including the rage clips just because everybody enjoys a good old-fashioned rage. So, have a good time, and I'll catch y'all in the next